Good morning, Mike.
Good morning,
and
sir.
Happy New Year to you.
Very happy New Year to you.
Lovely to have you back.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated Nick Dubois filling in for me, so let me say thanks to him for that. What can I do for you today, Charles?
I've been listening all morning, and it was good to have Julia back as well.
Yes.
And I was lovely listening to her have a go at Mr. Zahawi.
Yes.
But I think she missed a little trick, though, because if you think about the hypocrisy and the stupidity of the fact that they're making children wear masks, at the same time they're advising schools to double up on class sizes. Now, I taught for 20 years. It was my second career. And I don't know about you, but most schools I know, with 25 kids in a classroom, they're pretty crowded.
Yes.
You put 40, 50 kids in a classroom, they're going to be sitting on top of each other. What price social distancing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with the situation in schools is that if you go to a private school, it's a very different case than if you go to a state school, because the rules seem to be different. And the government never did tell schools what to do. They gave them guidance, and the schools themselves decided what to do. Right?
No, absolutely. But as I say, this is what they're advising them to do. And it goes again.
It's idiotic, isn't it?
Wearing the masks. I think it's all ridiculous. I think that schools should be allowed to get on and teach children, and wearing masks is disgusting.
It really is.
It does no good whatsoever.
It doesn't do any good. It's uncomfortable. It's inhumane, I think, to ask a child to wear something over their face for 7 hours a day. I think it's ridiculous.
Absolutely, and for teachers, you're watching children saying the teachers don't need to wear a mask out the front of the class.
Right.
Is ridiculous. But well, it's not ridiculous. He's right.
Yeah.
But the children shouldn't either, because you watch the children, you look at their expressions, you're teaching them,
right,
and you want to see whether or not they're understanding. I mean, I was a physics and science teacher in a secondary school,
right,
and you want to see whether or not they understand what you're teaching them. You're looking for the expressions on their faces and all the rest of it. But with a mask over their face, you can't see it.
Of course not. And also, this is causing a great deal of anxiety. I mean, I talk to parents all the time who say, one of their kids is not feeling very well, doesn't want to go back to school because they're scared. They've been affected by all the propaganda. This is not the way to treat our children.
No.
It's really
we
not.
need a total revision, and if a total revision means a new Prime Minister, a new government, then let's have it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Listen, my view on that has not changed. I've not become convinced that Boris is doing a better job than he was. He did one good thing, which was that he stopped any further restrictions coming in over New Year. Charles, great to talk to you. Thank you.
Hello, Mike.
How you doing?
What I wanted to say about masks in schools is that special needs children have been completely thrown under the bus.
Yes.
My daughter has fetal alcohol syndrome, or autism,
Right.
and FASD, and ADHD. She's adopted.
Okay.
And even though she's in primary school, we had a situation where the teacher who was teaching her phonics had a mask on. So she's trying to teach her the sounds of the words.
Right.
With her nose and mouth
That's
covered.
mad, isn't it?
My daughter's got an IQ of 63.
Right.
And even though she's in primary, with secondary school children, what happens if you lip read? It's not just about you being exempt from wearing a mask. It's about you not being able to see what anyone else is lips moving, not being able to know what the teacher's saying. If you've got, can you imagine if you had Asperger's,
Yeah, I know.
where you can't read people's faces?
Right.
If you're a child, and your teacher and every single person in the school has essentially got half of their face covered, or you have autism, or you have anxiety disorder, or you've got a mental health disorder, or do you see what I mean?
Yes.
Or you've got a cognitive disorder, and they've just decided, we don't care. And if I bring you back to when we had a few cases where Muslim teachers were trying to teach in schools with their faces covered, and they were told no.
Yeah.
Simply because children need to see people's faces to learn.
Absolutely.
Apparently now that's not a thing.
Yeah.
It's everything
mad,
we
isn't it?
knew.
And there's no
We've
reason
just
for it. I mean,
decided-
these schools are not in any way being told to do this. They're not having to do it. They're choosing to do it.
Yeah, and my thing is, I'm surprised that a parent of a special needs child hasn't taken the government to court, because I know if they bring it in primary schools, I will be engaging in legal support, because I am not going to have it.
No.
And even this thing about merging classes, Okay, again, so what about special needs children? The thing is, if you have a one-to-one and an ECHP plan, you just can't have any random teacher in the school teaching you. You have to have your one-to-one teacher. And this is a problem we had in the first lockdown when they had all the children in the hall.
Yeah.
Her teaching assistant wasn't allowed to come in. My daughter started wetting herself. She was distressed. She's 9 because she's got special needs.
Of course.
And it's just like they don't care.
Well, there's so many children who have been badly affected by this. I know people who've got kids who were perfectly what you might call average children, run-of-the-mill, no problems at all, getting on with life. And now they're basket cases. They can't... They're fearful. They don't want to go out. They don't want to mix with anybody. They're frightened of going back to school. It's terrible.
I totally agree, but my issue is, where is the Children's Are? Where is Bernardo's? Where are all these, the Royal Society?
Oh, what, you mean all these charities that are stumped up by the government?
Yeah, the ones that cry, foul and discrimination all the time, apart from these last 2 years. Where are all these charities? Where are Bernardo's? Where is Quorum?
Yeah.
Where is Action for Children? Where are all these charities?
What about Children in Need?
Society?
Where are they?
Yeah, where's Autistic Society saying, actually, we're not going to put up with this because children who are autistic can't cope when they can't see anybody's face in the school for 6 to 7 hours a day.
Yeah, it's a brilliant point.
Elaine, it's an actual outrage.
It is. You're absolutely right, Elaine. And we'll be keeping that drum making a very, very loud noise because we are, like you, Elaine, absolutely outraged. It is an outrage. It shouldn't be happening.
I just wanted to talk about this absolute farce of making children wear masks in school.
Yes.
I think it's disgusting, and it just shows that the government haven't thought this through by making children wear them and not making the teachers wear them. If it was really about health and safety, everyone would be wearing them.
Yes. Well, also, I mean, by the way, I'm seeing various tweets coming in now that, in Europe, where they've been wearing masks for a lot longer than us and where they've had much stronger mask mandates, they've got worse numbers than we've got.
Exactly.
So what's the point?
Well, and I hearing Nadam Sawari this morning, he knows this is complete and utter nonsense by the fact he has absolutely no facts whatsoever to back it up.
They never do. Whenever you ask them for evidence, they can't ever supply it. Remember when I had Sajid Javid on once when Julia was away, and I said to him, asked him about the likelihood of using, antibody testing to make sure that some people actually were fine, even though they hadn't necessarily had a vaccine. And he bumbled on about how you can't really tell, the number of the viral load's different for everybody and you can't really guarantee. Well, you can actually. You can test them for antibodies and see if they've got them. And if they've got them, they should be fine to do anything.
Exactly. But one of the things I wanted to say is obviously wearing masks is utterly disgusting and a massive impact on children's mental health. But it's physical health as well. I've seen someone do an experiment where they've actually used a professional CO2 detector and stuffed it behind their mask, and this thing went off the cloth, off the scale.
Well, it's not good for your skin. It can't be good for your teeth. It can't be good for your
CO2.
You can't be good for your general sort of well-being and health of your mouth, can it?
Well, no, it's the actual. Apparently, it's the CO2 levels that build up behind the mask. Apparently, it's between 400 and 700 parts per million is actually a healthy range.
Yeah.
And this person, she put it behind her mask, and within probably 30 seconds to 60 seconds, it went over 10,000.
Yeah.
And apparently, the impact on you is like headaches, drowsiness, and in extreme circumstances. Thank God I haven't heard any of this actually happen. But even death.
Yeah.
And yet we're subjecting our children to that. We are not. I am definitely not subjecting my child because they asked for mask mandates in the corridors last term, and I absolutely refused to allow it because the school actually, we have to sign permission forms for them to be tested, and we have to sign permission forms for them to be wearing a mask, and I refuse. And he is the only child, and would pretty much guarantee, in the entire school that doesn't test, and he's the only child that doesn't wear a mask.
Right. It's amazing, isn't it, what these schools are doing? I don't understand why more schools are not saying, actually, we don't agree with this guidance, we don't think it's a good idea, and we'd rather not do it. And that would be fine. Not any government official would condemn them for that. They just say, OK, that's your choice. You do what you want.
But I don't understand why parents are going along with this when in my son's school, last term, particularly after half term, virtually every single one of them tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
And they in extreme circumstance, they lost all their sense of taste and smell. But in other circumstances, most of them just had what we would just normally call a winter cold bug.
And that's what you get, and that's what you used to get, and what's the big deal, Listen, I've got to run. Charlotte, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.